What is up, guys? Today we're going to be going over One Piece chapter 1168. I'm writing the script for this as I read the chapter so you all can hear my initial thoughts and reactions, and I'll save my predictions for the end. This is a chapter that I've seen absolutely zero spoilers for, so I'm super excited to get into it. The chapter is titled Elbaf Snow, and on initial reading, I don't have a clue what that could mean. The first place that comes to mind when I think of snow on Elbaf is the underworld where Loki was imprisoned, so maybe this chapter we're going to see him get put there. It also could have a more symbolic meaning that I'm just not picking up on right now. The chapter kicks off 15 years ago. We see that the Elbaf PR is working, and now the people of the world are coming around to giants. Honestly, this just feels like commentary on how easy it is to sway people's beliefs. Like, yes, in story we know that the giants aren't bad, but the agenda that they were was so easily ingrained into the people by the world government, and the moment Harald submitted to the world government to change the rhetoric they've been spewing, the general public's opinions were swayed way too quickly. One Piece is no stranger to the commentaries on the propaganda and the dark sides of the powers that be, and this just feels like another one of those moments. And even if this time the truth is being revealed, it just feels like more commentary on propaganda. We even see that the way they're learning about the good deeds of the Giants is through newspapers, so no doubt Morgans is heavily influencing the public perception of the Giants, since we know the world government pays him to run some stories and he does take their bribes so that he'll run some stories. Like, sometimes he does not listen to them and run his own stories, but we know that he does do some government work whenever it benefits him, or whenever he feels like it. We see Harald starting to implement the philosophy of modern Elbaf with focusing on education and removing the old customs that forged warriors, and he does this in the name of Ida, despite her saying that she still wants him to uphold his traditions, along with fostering this new era. Harald, of course, doesn't accept this since he feels it's the traditions of Elbaf that have stopped him from being happy. It's cost him his marriage with the woman he loves, and trying to fix the island's reputation cost him his closest friend, so you can understand why he's so against it. But we then see Harold and Ida's final conversation before her passing, and to the very end, Harold expressed his love for Ida and she expressed hers for Harold and both of her sons. The conversation ends with Harold hoping they can travel the seas together again, and as he says that, she dies with a smile on her face. Now, dying with a smile is something that shouldn't be taken lightly in One Piece. It's reserved for people with profound influence in the world, like all the D-Clan members and Odin, and Ida fits well into this category. Much like how Ace was the flag bearer for the new generation of pirates and his death kicked off their age, and Odin's actions were to set the stage for the dawn of the world, Ida's life changed the giants. Harold attributes all he's done to her, and we can also thank her for the fact that Loki isn't evil. She kept him aligned with good even if he is still rough on the outside, and if not for her we'd be dealing with a much darker and sinister Loki, who was hated by his birth mother, neglected by his brother and father, and rejected by the man he looks up to. Her being a mother to Loki and spurring on Harald to change the perception of the giants will be integral going forward, especially since Loki is on the mural, so she's earned this way of going out. And as she passes, we cut to Loki in a cage, most likely for destroying the town with the people who poisoned her, as he covers his already covered eyes to presumably hide any tears that may come through. And here the meaning of the snow becomes clear to me. Oda is using the snow the same way most authors use rain. Like, you know how rain is generally used in anime where something super sad happens, like Future Gohan in the puddle. But here it's replaced by snow. We've also seen this in the backstory Law made up, so we would feel bad for him. But moving on, we cut to a year later where Shanks has gone missing from Maryjoa, deserting it before he can be promoted to a Holy Knight. And man, the Shanks seeking theory stocks are going through the roof right now. It's basically confirmed, let's be honest. Clearly Shanks was only on Maryjoa to complete a mission and gather intel, and the moment he got what he wanted, he left. He also made sure to get out before getting tied closer to Emo, which was probably a good idea. Now, due to Shanks deserting the Hype Tool Knights, the Gorosei decided to promote Herald as their second choice. And I hope you all know what this means, right? We all remember how people were pushing the Herald is relative to Rock's agenda a few months ago. Well, here Mr. Relative to Rocks, with years of more training, is considered less fit for the job than Shanks. Shanks over Rocks confirmed. Okay, I'm just kidding, I'm just playing, but seriously, I hope no one actually thinks Herald is relative to Rocks. Like, come on now, like, the implications for that are just horrible. But enough of that, they start taking Harold to the throne room, and Harold finally meets Emo. Now this is insane, like look at Harold, man is in absolute shock. And Harold's mark gets upgraded, and we see some interesting things about this mark, like he looks like he's in actual pain while it's happening because he's screaming. And also we see that they say things like, he has power surging through him, and like the way the Gorosei talk about it, it seems like just having the mark is like a power buff because of the diction that they're using. But yeah, Harold has officially sold his soul to Emu and he's done it without a second thought. This man got over that shock mad quick, I swear. Harold's gotta be Tontara levels of gullible. He'd probably believe Zoro if he told him that Usopp and Sogeking King were the same person. Like, dog, is none of this sketchy to you? A shadowy figure put a mark on you that's actively sending chills down your spine and telling you to put a pentagram in your homeland, and you're just listening like a good boy? Nah, bro, you cannot be this desperate to be a member nation. This man clearly learned nothing from all his chats with King Neptune, because Neptune, despite wanting the same thing as Harald, wasn't dumb enough to overlook how evil celestial dragons were. Harald literally decided to work for them and has been ignoring all the red flags he's seen like it's nothing. After cutting back to Elbaf, we see that the Deep Sea Mark allows for Emu to communicate with the bearers of the Mark telepathically, and that it also allows him to control them remotely. Emu most likely was using this version of control to its utmost limits in order to control Saturn on God Valley and Gunko on modern Elbaf. And now that he's doing this to Harald, coupled with what Loki saw at the start of the flashback and what Loki said right before it started, I'm thinking Harald is about to get fully controlled and Loki is going to be the one to put him down. You know, after reading all the stuff with Harald getting the mark, Harald seems to not have a clue what he's gotten himself into. Like, dog, you entered a contract. Did you not think to ask about the specifics of said contract? And part of me feels like he should have known what he was getting himself into, because he was hanging around the incompetent knights for how long? And clearly Shanks knew that getting that mark would be a bad idea, which is why he left. So what's going on with Harald? Maybe you could argue that Shanks knew about what the mark would entail because he was basically infiltrating the Figarland family who knew about the ins and outs of it all, and Harald was kind of alone there. Actually, wait, that might be it. Because at the start of the flashback, Shanks said he wants to meet with Harald to discuss something that they couldn't discuss on Mary Joa. Obviously, because of Emo and the Hopeless Knights lurking around, that's why they couldn't do it. So maybe Shanks was trying to warn Harald about the dangers of getting higher level marks, but unfortunately he couldn't make it in time, so maybe he didn't know Harald got and was trying to stop him from getting it. But this is something that only time will give us the answer to. Like, we might not even get the answer to that in this flashback, like Oda might generally throw it into an SBS. We see that Loki is still imprisoned, and this means that he's been imprisoned for a year now, and we see that the prison is in the realm of the dead. And Harald urgently summons both Loki and Jarl to the castle. We then cut to the narrator saying we're about to return to where this tale began. In other words, the start of the flashback. And honestly, with all the context we've been given, I think that my theory makes a lot of sense. The pillar play is obviously that Harald is going to get taken over as Jarl and Loki are on their way to the castle, and when they get there, the guards are stabbing Harald because he started attacking them. Or he probably ordered them to stab him because he wants to get killed before he's fully taken over. But he's obviously immortal at this point, so he's going to walk it off and continue fighting, which is where Loki comes in. Now, during Gaban's explanation about Conqueror's Haki and using it to counter immortality, Loki said something along the lines of, "You've helped me verbalize my own power," before requesting to join the fight, which heavily implied he had Conqueror's Haki and at a highly advanced level at that. Couple this with the fact that Loki is imprisoned for killing Harald, and you can put all the pieces together. Loki unknowingly uses advanced Conqueror's Haki to beat Harald. Now, there are a few slight flaws, maybe holes in this theory. For example, Gaban saying Conqueror's Haki is a power that can only be useful when you consciously control it. So saying Loki was able to pull off the most advanced version of Conqueror's Haki we've ever seen without even knowing what it is could be a bit of a stretch. Well, I guess the most advanced aside from Joy Boy, but the Joy Boy is an entire thing, like a separate thing. But what I think could compensate for this is the devil fruit that Loki allegedly ate. We know that external factors can force out Haki. For example, Enma is the reason Zoro is capable of using Conqueror's Haki in battle. So a devil fruit being able to draw out Haki I don't think is too far-fetched. We know that Luffy in Gear 5 is unconsciously covered in armament and Conqueror's Haki, and Gear 5 isn't something he developed, it just happened when the fruit awakened. So fruits drawing out Haki is not completely foreign. Considering his fruit is also connected to Nika, allegedly, it being able to draw out Haki is very possible as well, since the two fruits should be connected, so the effects might be similar. We still have to figure out how Gaban and Shanks fit into this though. We know that this isn't where Loki got captured by Shanks, since Shanks only captured and chained Loki 6 years ago, and this event is happening 14 years ago. Gaban also mentioned sensing Emu on that day, so it's possible we get to see Shanks, Gaban, Loki, and Jarl vs corrupt Harald in the next chapter. Or that could just be wishful thinking, and we just see Loki kill him and Jarl's injury, and then Shanks and Gaban arrive as the fight ends. I see both as equally possible. Honestly, closing thoughts on this chapter is that Harald genuinely isn't the sharpest tool in the shed. He's ignored red flag after red flag, and even if he couldn't be privy to some information like Emu's existence and the specifics of the contracts, the context of the situation should have been enough to clue him in that taking part in this was a bad idea. Like, I guess it's not that foreign a concept in One Piece that kings/rulers are extremely gullible and it comes back to bite them. For example, Odin believing Orochi and Kaido would just leave he danced naked for a few years. But at least in Odin's case, you can see Orochi is a person who was wronged and is clearly disturbed. So there's a higher likelihood that just giving him what he wants may make him back off. But Harold knows the government isn't trustworthy, and he's literally worked for the people at the very top, blindly following orders for personal gain, and his reasons are irrelevant because not thinking this through would obviously come back to haunt him when you consider who he's dealing with. And he knows who he's dealing with for the most part. Like, he knows in general they can't be trusted, even if he didn't know who the tippy top of them was. But yeah, that's going to be it for this chapter. Feel free to leave your thoughts and predictions in the comments below. I'm super curious on what you guys think is going to happen going forward. We are on break next week, and I believe next chapter will be the final chapter of the year because of the Shonen Jump holiday break. It'll suck without chapters, but hey, Oda does deserve the break. And with that said, I want to thank each and every one of you for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day or night whenever you're watching this, and I hope to see you all next time.